Hey everyone, this is Ultra Runner. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are taking a quick look at some of the pickups I had from the last week. I guess it's probably been the last week. Just want to kind of go over some of those things with you guys because most of you guys know I do collect Hot Toys and I collect Transformers. Primarily, I do have some 12 scale stuff in there, but not much. And so this is a pretty good pickup week. And for stuff that came in, so from Sideshow, I got the Clone Wars AC-10. Really looking forward to that. When I saw that go up, I definitely had to have that. I'll probably just kind of go over him a little bit, just kind of give you guys a little more detail on it. For any of you guys who are looking at picking him up aftermarket, because I know it was limited edition run. You got the DX45B, which is the Battle Damage Vader, which is kind of cool because it's the Hayden Christian likeness to the Force Unleashed, world essentially. So Battle Damage Vader have to fight Starkiller, and so they did a great job with this piece too, giving them that Hayden likeness. And of course, as the SS86 completionist, I do have Kranix, who just came in. These are all from BBTS. So this guy here, the X45B, I picked up from eBay. I was going to get him originally, decided I didn't want him, and then once I kind of mapped out how I want my counter to look, I decided to go and pick him up. And I really didn't get him for much more than retail, which is great because I was kind of surprised. I figured he'd be pretty expensive, but really wasn't much more than retail shipped from Sideshow, so that was pretty good win. Again, so this was a dopo, so this was part of the queue to get him. Picked him up pretty quickly. He did sell out very quickly. And then from BBTS, I got the Age of the Primes Power Glide, and I don't really have any of the Age of the Primes figures other than like Superion. Not really picking up a lot from that line. Not that it's not for me, it's just that some of them are cool and some of them are not. And really the mini boss is really kind of what I wanted to get a few more of, and I'm pretty much done with those guys now. Then we got SS86 Kranix. We have the SS86 essentially re-release of the Siege Shockwave, and then we have the brand new mold, which is the Skywarp, and then I have the Matrix with Leadership. So those guys there coming in. I did get a notification from Target, which is kind of cool, that the new Starscream, Starscream, the Insecticons, and Prowl should be shipping. They're going to basically charge me this week, so those guys should be here pretty soon. So that's actually kind of awesome. So right now there's not a lot of outstanding items right now from SS86 line. If you are picking up SS86 and looking for something in particular, I think right now, once those ship, the only thing I have outstanding is going to be with Blitzwing, the new clip jumper, and Cyclonus. And that's really it. There's really not a lot of SS86 stuff out there. Now, I know a lot of you guys are talking about the new, what we dubbed as far as the community SS84, which they actually decided to title Studio Series Generation 1, and so I said multiple times, I'm not picking it up. But man, I really like that Sunstorm look, and I think that'd go great with some of my other stuff. So I think I went on and picked that up. So I did the pre-order for those guys. That made the order pre-order super cool because, of course, you don't pay for it till it ships. So for all of you guys and you can cancel it before then. So if you really wanted to get that, you have the option for that piece. I'm not really interested in the Rainmakers other than the fact that I think they'll be cool, just like background seekers. Because I'm hoping what they'll do is redo the Tetrajets, whether they do it in the Siege mold, or they actually do a new mold that looks more G1 accurate. I don't really care either one, because I do like that Siege mold. I do have all three of those now. So for me, it's not that big a deal whether they go G1 accurate on that or not. I'm assuming with this new Studio Series Generation 1 line, that's what they're going to do, is really kind of go in hard on getting some of the more accurate versions of these characters. Maybe that means we're going to get a new Shockwave later on, which would be great. The secret mold is definitely, they just crushed this particular here. And then as far as the other pieces go, you know, we have to see what we're looking forward to with that. But just want to let you guys know that. So if you're, like say, for you guys are keeping up with the SS86 line, we are literally down to just a really handful of characters, because you have the Coneheads, which were of course were in the movie. Maybe we'll get a battle damage set of the Insecticons. I'm not sure if we're gonna get that, but that's definitely something I would go for. I would love to get a battle damage version of the Seekers, so like Thundercracker and Skywarp, and even a reformatted version of them, showing them converting from their old Seeker forms to Cyclonus and Scourge. I'd like to get a, you know, the grayed out damage version of Starscream, which, you know, Super 7 did, which I might pick that one up just in case, because that's actually a really nice one too. BBT's got like a little sale on Transformers right now, so maybe I'll grab that and see how that goes. Outside of that, I mean, from the Autobots, we do have the battle damage version of Windcharger we still need, and Wheeljack. And aside from that, maybe if we get a Spike and a Daniel, you know, in a transforming exosuit, that'd be great, because we don't have a Daniel right now. But there's really not a lot that we have that we can get from SS86. And again, if they wanted to start, you know, putting notes out slower and slower, I wouldn't really have a problem with that at all. I don't really think they are. I think they're going to just go and finish SS86 off and then jump into this Generation 1, which allowed them to repaint and resell and retool and even maybe new mold some of these figures. But I'll probably make a video about that, because I know a lot of people are kind of bummed by this made to order being the first thing being made to order. But I look at the HasLab. The HasLab has not been G1. We have not had a G1 HasLab yet. So for those who are saying that, you know, Hasbro only focuses on G1, that's really not true, because, you know, all the HasLabs have been that since Unicron, and Unicron was technically not really G1 because that was from Siege, you know, and he's definitely not accurate to the movie, SS86 movie. But, you know, if you're looking at a lot of these big projects, so the fact that the first made to order is something that's G1, and it's really not even G1, because it's more like a kind of what if scenario, because the Seekers were never in Earth modes. So this was definitely, I think, the best way to do it. I made to order. You make it, and something cool that you never be able to put on the shelf for a really good price. I think $150 for those three is pretty awesome. I mean, those four is pretty awesome. And if you don't want it, you don't get it. It doesn't take anything out of the line. And for those who are concerned that, oh, they're putting too much, they're taking up a larger spot with something like this, well, they're not. So that's a great thing for everybody else who's not looking for this G1 stuff here. So yeah, just kind of want to go through this right quick. And I guess since I do have, when I got these in, I immediately opened the Vader and I immediately opened Stacey 10. So I'm going to show you guys those right quick. So I've got Vader over here, and this is easily one of the, if you guys haven't seen this guy, definitely one of the best releases Hot Toys has done. The detail in the sculpt is pretty much second to none. This base is super awesome. I was looking at it because I'm picking up Malgus, and the bases are the same except for the wires underneath according to the image. So maybe that's the only difference in the two, but it's close enough where I'm gonna have those mirrored. So I'll have Malgus here and Vader here, and those guys both, you know, with the scarred heads and stuff like that, will look pretty dope. I'm gonna keep the cape on Vader even once I get Malgus, because I thought about having the regular cape, but the reason I put him over here initially was just because I wanted to have that cape be visible. So definitely super cool. So yeah, and I have those wired up, that'll go there. And then as far as Stacey, I've got him over here. Now this is definitely one I was looking forward to, and I think execution on this guy was pretty spot on. There's only, it's kind of quick rundown on him. Wired tunic, wired cape. The cape wires are not super crazy strong, but they definitely do a good job. The helmet was scary as I'll get out to take apart, because it's clips. It probably should have been magnets, and I think those clips are going to be easy to break if you take this on and off. But of course, for me, I'm never going to use the regular head. The only issue I had was this piece here connects to the helmet and with the hoses and stuff. And if you move his head, this moves to the side, left and right, instead of standing dead center. And this should have really been maybe a clip here and the hose is attached to maybe like something underneath the back of his armor. That way his head can move freely, because if you want to get him into a dynamic pose, then this all moves and it looks super wonky. So you kind of have to have him in a, not really a neutral pose, but a kind of, his head can go a little bit off axis, but you can't move him much off axis before it has an issue. So outside of that, the armor on the bodysuit is super tight, a little too tight. So it's a little difficult to move his, not really move his arms around, but get this hand in dynamic pose, because you can't really go up that much with it, even with the pegs. So I've got the wire from his saber running through his gauntlet and through his bicep armor. And the only other thing I'd say is the issue is his flex, the fabric here is super tight. It's like something like the Vader's. And so you don't get a lot of dynamic posing out of him. And I've tried pulling it up from the bottom, even pulling it down from the top, and you just don't get a lot of range of motion out of his legs at the crotch area. So that's really one of the big downfalls to him. So I just kind of have him standing like in just a menacing neutral pose, you know, and I've got the 501st around him. And of course he didn't really roll out those 501st because he was running around with the shinies, but you know, I wanted all my Clone Wars stuff to be together, and he's kind of mirrored down here to how Vader's standing in that same kind of neutral stance, you know, looking like a little bit of a badass. But this was how Twist is cooking on this. So I'm so glad they actually decided to do this, because you know, 2003 Clone Wars is just one of those where there's not a lot of things I think that we can get out of it that Hot Toys can do outside of the, outside of the live action range, and the fact that they just took this body. And he's actually a pretty big boy, because you can see him standing here next to Jesse, about the same distance in the A stance. But I mean, he's a good bit taller. And I didn't realize that Stacy 10 body was that big. So yeah, so he definitely looks menacing, especially with the boys in the back. You know, I've got 5. This is my version of Heavy from episode 1. Season 1, episode 5 rookies. Echo, so you know, those 3 guys were together. That's when we first were introduced to 5s, Heavy and Echo. And then Jesse, of course, showed up later on in Umbora arc. And then, so my canon is, if Heavy would have lived, then he would have been a different looking ARC Trooper. So this is actually the Heavy Mandalorian, the heavy weapons clone trooper from the Bark Speeder with sidecar pack. So that's what I'm using for that. So yeah, just want to kind of show you guys what that looked like there. But definitely stellar quality, the cape, the tunic piece, the clone armor. And the clone armor is definitely unique, because I think the back here, the back of his elbows, is something that was unique to his piece. And then this little box here, of course, is unique because it hooks to his helmet. The visor is inset, so that the smoky glass pieces definitely, or plastic pieces, gives it a little bit more depth and reflectivity. And you know, like I said, just overall just a great piece. So if any of you guys are going to pick this up third party, you know, I think that's probably the only way you can get him now. He is definitely worth it for me. If you're a big Clone Wars fan, even in 03, of course. And that really finishes up for me my Clone Wars shelf. So this is my top 2 shelves are Clone Wars. So I've got, you know, Rex, Ahsoka, and 332nd. So this is like my Order 66 shelf. Here, Battle of Mandalore / Battle of Mandalore. And then you've got my other top shelf here, which is just my favorite guys, my ARC Troopers, 501st, along with AC-10, and that's pretty much it. I'm done Clone Wars now. So, you know, because my other shelf, of course, was Savage, Maul, the Maul DeLoreans, and Death Watch Mandalorian. So got that pretty much all wrapped up. So it's kind of nice to see shelves come together and finally get done. And I know in our collecting space, you're kind of never really done. Now I wouldn't mind getting a cartoon accurate version of Rex and Ahsoka. I actually would have loved them to give us an Ariana Greenblatt season 7 Ahsoka, or Battle of Mandalore, I guess. Ariana Greenblatt, Battle of Mandalore Ahsoka from the Ahsoka show. I thought we would get that instead of even as a limited versus that one that we got that was so controversial. But maybe there's still hope for it. It'd be great if we could get that. And if not, I'll just have to roll with that one until they get a replacement. These guys, they're done. I mean, there's really no reason to place those at 332nds, which are the 501st Deluxe. There's no way to improve those, so no issues with those. Captain Vaughn. So unless there's some type of 2.0 of, for some reason, maybe we end up with die-cast version of these guys, which I really doubt. But unless that's the case, I think I'm good with those. So those 3 shells from probably my favorite media, Clone Wars, is done. So I'll just give you guys one last look at the Vader here. Yeah, like I said, stellar piece. That cape is crazy good, very dramatic. Just see him standing there, it just gives you light. And man, like I said, that head sculpt is insane. I mean, like that detail all the way through. And then one last shot of what we got in. So like I said, I'll probably do like maybe a video on just Matrix. I don't know. A lot of people have been doing that, and it's pretty basic. But as somebody who does collect some of the role-playing stuff, I do have the Star Wars role-playing helmets, a few of those. I'll just kind of see how it compares for Hasbro kind of doing their first one for Transformers in this, in this realm for SS86. So, but yeah, just want to kind of show you guys what's going on. Comment down below. Comment down below. Let me know what you think about what's coming in. If you guys picking any of this stuff up, and is there any parts of your collection that are nearing completion? All right, appreciate you guys. Thanks for hanging out. Later.